Welcome to this explainer. For decades, the flashing cameras of Hollywood and the massive, massive wealth of the elite have projected this aura of complete invincibility. But today, we're stepping behind the velvet rope to look at a much darker reality. We're going to uncover the systemic abuse of power by seemingly untouchable celebrities, the horrific ecosystems they build to protect themselves, and then, and this is the crazy part, we're going to reveal the surprising statistical truth about what actually happens when they finally face their day in court. So think about it. When wealth, fame, and influence are on trial, do the rich and famous really get away with it? We've all heard the cynical jokes, right? We have this baked-in societal assumption that a famous name, a huge bank account, and a team of high-prized powerhouse lawyers basically act as an automatic, not guilty verdict. We just assume the system is inherently built to protect them. But is that actually true? The classic symbol of our legal system is Lady Justice wearing her blindfold. And the core idea there is absolutely crucial. Justice is supposed to be entirely blind to wealth, blind to fame, and blind to power. But when we look at the high-profile Me Too era cases that have completely dominated the headlines, figures who literally operated as predators in the shadows for decades, it makes us seriously question if the scales are actually rigged. I mean, how could so many powerful people get away with so much for so long? Section 1. Profiles and Exploitation, the Fall of the Untouchables. Let's take a look at the horrific real-world examples of this power dynamic in action. Let's walk through the chilling timeline of Sean Combs. These allegations don't just span a few bad months, they span decades. It starts all the way back in 2003 with the alleged trafficking of a 17-year-old minor. By 2008, federal indictments allege he'd established a full-blown criminal enterprise using intimidation, coercion, and violence. Fast forward to March 2024, Homeland Security finally raids his properties, followed by a formal arrest in Manhattan. And ending with an update from 2025, Combs was found guilty of transportation for prostitution and handed a 50-month sentence. It's a staggering duration of alleged impunity before the law finally caught up. And sadly, this is not an isolated incident. Listen to this harrowing quote from the Polaris Project regarding R. Kelly. He preyed on young people's dreams. What he got in exchange was sex, obedience, subservience, whatever he wanted. Kelly used the exact same blueprint as Combs, exploiting marginalized youth for over 25 years before finally receiving a 31-year combined sentence. And it isn't just the music industry either. We see this systemic abuse in sports as well, like in the case of David Burke. Across entertainment and athletics, it's this systematic trading of the promise of stardom for complete traumatic control. So how do they build such an impenetrable fortress around themselves? The sources map out what's known as the enabler ecosystem. Step 1. They exploit vulnerabilities. They target young people desperate for career advancement or social mobility. Step 2. The enablers. These stars don't act alone, right? They surround themselves with entourages who bribe, intimidate, and use aggressive legal threats to keep survivors quiet. And step 3. They leverage systemic failures. High-profile status creates a huge barrier. Slow law enforcement responses combined with incredibly powerful defense tactics allow this cycle of abuse to remain hidden in plain sight. Okay, but here's where we hit a massive, unexpected paradigm shift in our explainer. We've seen the terrifying abuse of power, the enablers, the decades of complete silence. But despite all of this manipulation, what actually happens when the walls finally close in, the money runs out of influence, and these untouchable celebrities are forced to sit in a courtroom and face a jury of everyday people? Well, here is the smoking gun. 80.1%. According to an exhaustive academic study by Bruce A. Carroll that analyzed over 300 celebrity verdicts from 1998 to 2010, when celebrities actually go to trial, their conviction rate isn't magically lower than average. No way! It is a staggering 80.1%. This brilliantly illustrates the statistical twist of our entire topic. Check this out. The conviction rate for the general population sits at about 68%, but for all celebrities, it jumps up to 80.1%. And for limited public figures, meaning people who reach a high threshold of fame solely because of their trial, it skyrockets to an unbelievable 94.6%. This completely destroys the myth of celebrity immunity. Celebrities are actually convicted at a 12.1% higher rate than non-celebrities. This is hard empirical evidence. The research states so plainly that celebrities do not receive any special treatment at trial, and in fact are convicted at a higher rate. This isn't just some anecdote you hear at a party. It's a rigorously researched statistical reality. Against all odds, when the gavel falls, the fame shield doesn't just crack, it totally shatters. This academic analysis tackles our core cultural assumption head-on. We always assume that immense wealth and massive disposable income usually buy freedom or at least, a highly favorable settlement. But in a criminal jury trial setting, fame actually serves as a massive disadvantage. It really begs the question, if money is supposed to be the ultimate armor, why does it fail so spectacularly in front of a jury? Section 2. Why the famous fall, the psychology of the jury. If the system is allegedly rigged in their favor, why do everyday people suddenly turn on the glittering stars they once idolized? Well, the crucial point comes down to 3 psychological motives. First, betrayal. We put our faith in these public figures, we elevate them, and when they turn out to be predators, it completely violates our social contract. Second, envy. The study actually refers to this as the Cain and Abel effect, a deeply human, almost secret desire to see the ultra-wealthy and elite fail. Deep down, we kind of want to punish them for having the status we don't. And third, wealth itself acts as a filter. Celebrities have the money to settle borderline cases out of court. So practically speaking, that means the only cases that actually make it to a jury trial are the absolute hardest to win, most severe cases. Our culture is obsessed with emulating modern celebrities. We dress like them, we follow their every move on social media, we hang on to their every word. And because our cultural obsession with them is so intense, the backlash is equally intense. When the pedestal breaks and the predator beneath is finally exposed, the jury's reaction is swift and almost vengeful. Basically, the higher the pedestal we put them on, the harder the jury makes them fall. Which leaves us with this final lingering thought. When those courtroom doors close, is true justice finally balancing the scales against decades of horrific abuse in enabler ecosystems? Or is the jury just exacting its own deeply human revenge against the elite? It's a really dark, complex reality to ponder. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we continue to uncover the fascinating truth behind the data.